All right, people are still going on, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So I am happy to report to you guys that you are part of the Sage Intacct 2025 Release 2 What's New webinar, where we will show you what is new that could affect our nonprofit clients. Okay, Fabs, next, there you go. Some housekeeping notes. If you have a question during this webinar, please, please, please submit your questions in the questions box, in the Q&A box on your control panel. So that's the Zoom screen where you're going to see at the bottom, there's a little Q&A icon. It should be to the immediate right of your share icon. Don't share your screen. But we will be monitoring the questions, and we'll either verbally answer them or type the answers in for you. And also today's recording and slides will be emailed to you following the webinar. Next. If you are in need of earning CPE credits, you could potentially earn 1 CPE credit today if you respond to at least 3 of the 4 polling questions we will scatter throughout the webinar. And there's also a survey that will pop up at the end of the webinar. You'll need to complete that and you'll also need to stay on for the duration of the webinar. If you meet all 3 of those criteria, you will be able to earn 1 CPE credit. And if you have any technical issues, please chat us or email to the Kristen Fredericks email, the K Fredericks, that's listed here on the slide. Okay, next. Today's webinar is hosted by Fabiola Hernández. If you have not met her, you will today. And also myself. I am Dougie Stanton. I'm the manager of education services. And Fabiola has done a fabulous job, all puns intended, for gathering all the up-to-date new stuff that could potentially affect you. So without further ado, Fabs, would you go to the next slide, please? So today, what are we hoping to accomplish today? Well, we want to point out, focus on some specific new features in Intacct that are already available as of about 2.5 weeks ago. A lot of the features Fabiola is actually going to show you. She's going to demo it in Intacct, and we'll also point out the benefits of switching to it. The areas that we'll focus on are AP, AR, the Sage Copilot. How many of you have heard of the Sage Copilot? There's also some changes to time and expense module and some changes to fixed asset management, and on the platform scalability. I wanted to say platform services, but that's not it. So without further ado, Fabiola, will you take it away, please?
Yeah, actually, you can start with the next.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I already messed up. Sorry, guys. Okay, so something new in accounts payable. There's quite a few of you who, when you're voiding a payment, you don't realize that the payment has already been reconciled in a bank rec. And up to now, the system well, it shouldn't have let you, but we've seen some cases where it could cause some issues. Now, as of the release 2.5 weeks ago, you're going to get a warning message when you void a payment that has already been reconciled in a bank rec. And this not only applies to regular AP bill payments, it also applies to manual payments or accounts payable advances. I don't know of many of you that use accounts payable advances, but it's there. So, and what it'll do is when you try to void a payment, you'll get a message now that says this payment has been reconciled. Do you want to reverse the reconciliation? So it's actually going to make you undo the reconciliation. So there's all sorts of ramifications. With that, all that to say is if you get the message, back out of it and figure out, why would you want to avoid a payment if it's already been gone through the bank rec, which means it's cleared the bank. There are certain scenarios where that could happen, but just be aware that you're now going to get that warning message. Okay, thank you. And the other new thing that's been applied, and this has actually been out for about this is now the second release where they're pointing it out. If you use approval flows in accounts payable, and this also applies to approval flows in purchasing, even though we didn't put it on a separate slide, you now have the ability to do new approval setup in the accounts payable bill approvals, where before, when you did manage approvals and you were able to actually just type in a name, and if they had the security clearance to approve, you could just pick the name instead of value approval. But here, as you can see by the screenshot, on row 3, you pick user level and then you pick the person's name to approve, and only those users with bill approval security rights will appear. Okay. And so if you already had named users as part of your bill approval, Intacct automatically converted those to user level rule type and moved the name over to the right. So it's basically the same functionality, but they're starting, I'm assuming they were working on some of enhancements, additional enhancements for approvals, and that's why this change was necessary. It's a little thing, but it makes a big difference. Okay, now it's yours, I believe.
Yeah. So this is accounts payable automation with purchasing. This is also the second time this feature was mentioned this year. It was also mentioned in release 1. And how it works in Sage Intacct is that this feature is now available to all customers who have API automation enabled. It streamlines the entire invoice entry process and reduces the need for manual data entries. Your vendors can either email or you can upload invoice documents directly into Intacct. Once uploaded, Sage Intacct uses artificial intelligence to analyze the invoice, identify the vendor, and match the invoice to the appropriate purchasing transaction. So that includes matching the vendor GL account and dimensions, and if a PO exists, it will match that as well. So if everything looks good, a draft invoice is automatically created with the source document already attached. This makes it easy to verify the details without having to toggle between screens. And from there, your team can review and validate the draft, make any necessary corrections, and then post the invoice. What's even better is that if there's a mistake or an exception, say a duplicate invoice or a mismatch, those exceptions are flagged and your feedback is sent back to the AI engine. And that helps the system actually learn over time and get smarter with every correction, helping to improve accuracy in the future. So ultimately, this helps you save time, reduce human error, and maintain better control over your AP process. Now that we've seen what AP automation can do, let's talk about how to set it up. So the good news is that this is a one-time configuration and it's very straightforward. You'll start by going into your purchasing configuration section and you'll see a box labeled Automate Purchasing Transactions and Document Matching. And from there, you'll define the 3 key elements, which is the entity name. You can enable this at the top level or choose a specific entity if you're working in a multi-entity environment. The target, this is the transaction you want Intacct to generate automatically, such as that vendor invoice. And then the source, this is the transaction the system will use to match against it. So typically the purchase order. And once this is set, Sage Intacct will use these definitions to drive the automation process. And lastly, don't forget about permissions. There's always permissions in your user permissions. You can see a section called automated transactions in both the purchasing and accounts payable list menus. And users with this permissions can see and review the transactions in Intacct, and that Intacct creates automatically, making it easier for you to monitor and manage what's coming through the automation engine. And once the AP automation is configured, the system takes it from there. As vendor invoices are emailed or uploaded, Sage Intacct will automatically generate draft transactions in the automated transaction list. So there's no need to create these manually. From this list, users can open each draft, review the details, make any edits if needed, and post when ready. This is where your team still maintains in full control and oversight before anything is finalized in the ledger. One helpful feature here is the import exceptions feature. That's this little last column here. Let me see if I can point to it. um, so this feature, actually, the system is going to detect any potential duplicate invoices or missing information. So your team can catch and resolve problems before they're posted. So this makes the AP process faster, but still safe and transparent. If this is something you're interested in enabling, feel free to reach out to your client account manager, or submit a support case, and we'll be happy to guide you through the next steps. And I actually have here in my environment, can everybody see my Intacct screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here I have my purchasing transactions showing, and I wanted you to see these two. I'm not going to go into them because they're honestly a regular purchasing transaction. I just wanted you to focus on the document number. So let's say that you're in your purchase orders, you created your purchase order, and now you want to convert it to an invoice or match it to an invoice. So you'll go into purchasing into your automated transaction section, and this is what we were looking at in that screenshot. And here's my import exceptions. So if you want to upload or email, you can email any transactions to an email that Intacct provides. It's in the configuration section. They'll provide an @sageemail.com email address where either a vendor or your employees can send any invoices to that email, and it'll come straight here. Or you can click on the little upload icon, choose the location it has to go to, and then select a file. Let's see what I have here in my downloads. Let's select this one and upload. And then we can refresh here. And once you've uploaded something, the system is actually going to start analyzing it. It's going to take maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but let me show you here what I just uploaded. So this is an actual invoice, but it has the purchase order number that I was showing earlier in the screen. So what the system is doing is trying to match it for me. And I already have one here prepared that if you look at this column match transaction, the system matched the previous purchase order with this invoice that I also submitted into the system. And when you go into the view, you can review what the system matched for you. So it literally created the vendor invoice with all of the necessary items and added all of the necessary entry in the entry layout section. And it also attached that invoice in the attachment record field. So this is going to help you and your company maybe save a little bit of time there. Let's go back into the presentation.
Okay, so there's one question here I think is relevant. The question is the AP automation a separate module or add-on? So it's not a separate module per se. It is functionality that has to be enabled. However, there is a fee involved. And so Intacct will charge you per invoice that gets added through AP automation. Excuse me, have a frog in my throat. And what they do is you sign up for about how many invoices on average you run through per month. And so as Fabiola mentioned, if you contact your client account manager, you can. They can help you out. What will also help is when you contact them about AP automation, if you can also let them know on average about how many accounts payable bills you handle per month. And that'll help them with figuring out which package pricing that you would qualify for. Thank you, Fabs.
Yeah, of course. Now, the last thing about accounts payable we wanted to mention is the advanced audit trail. And this is a feature that's incredibly useful for organizations that need to comply with protection data laws like HIPAA. especially around tracking access to sensitive information and contact customer and vendor records. Well, this update is for you. Before in the past, if you had to comply with those regulations, you couldn't get advantage of that AP automation feature. But now you can subscribe to AP automation and it is HIPAA compliant. So this means you don't have to choose between automation and compliance, you get both. Your automated workflows for incoming transactions and accounts payable and purchasing will still fully track and audit access to personal data, ensuring compliance remains intact. And now that takes us to the first polling question.
So if you all would be so kind and answer the first polling question, it'll be up just a few more seconds. And here are the answers. Cool. All right. Thank you all. Okay. So now we're going to switch hats a little bit and focus on money coming in with accounts receivable. So remember that new reconciliation warning, like if you try to reverse a payment in accounts payable? Well, Intacct has also put the same warning message in accounts receivable when reversing a reconciled advance. So they've only focused on reconciled advances. And so there, if you do need to, like if an advance payment, which is really a deposit, has been, for whatever reason, needs to be reversed and it already has been gone through the bank reconciliation process, you'll get a message. If it's okay to reverse, you will have to reopen the bank reconciliation and then you're able to reverse it. But it's put these safeguards into place in accounts receivable as well, but only on advances so far. Okie dokie. Now here is something new that's coming.
Oh, sorry.
In accounts receivable, it's not there yet. Intacct though is raising the flag and say, hey, look and see what's coming. So in the future, and we're keeping an eye on this, will have the ability to record customer refunds within accounts receivable. And so what you do, this is already a screenshot of the screen. They just provided screenshots. We do not have the ability to see the screen yet. We just I'm going to call it out because I get a lot of people asking for refunds. They need to actually issue refunds. So what this will give you the ability to do is you select the customer, you select, the payment information and all that stuff. But the only payment information they provide is record transfer or record transfer. What's nice though, then at the bottom, it'll list all the available credits for that customer, so you can pick and choose which one you actually want to refund to the customer. So it's, you have the credit matching and refund amount on the screen. When I saw this, I have questions because there's a lot of you that need to issue refunds. And right now it's kind of like you look it up in AR and then do the bill in accounts payable. And here it will give you the ability to kind of streamline it on the accounts receivable side. My question is, what I'm keeping track of is, how does it transfer over to AP so you can actually pay it? And so we're just calling it out so that you guys can pay attention to any new information that comes along for this. Intacct will start advertising it more. And I would be interested in learning from you all, for those of you that do have customers, funders, whatever you call them, where you need to issue refunds, what your current process is. So for those of you that are interested in giving me more information, that way we can pass that information along to Intacct. All right, that's it.
Okay, so now let's talk about a new time-saving tool within Sage Intacct, the Copilot Search Help feature. So this is an AI-powered search assistant that lives inside your help and support tab, but unlike the traditional help search, this one understands natural language. So you can ask questions the way you would in a conversation, like, how do I approve a bill? Copilot interprets your question, understands Sage Intacct terminology, and gives you an answer, often in a step-by-step format, along with a direct hyperlink to the relevant article for deeper reading. It also delivers intelligent recommendations for related topics and concepts you may want to explore. This tool is designed for streamlined self-service, helping you find the answers you need without always having to contact support, saving you valuable time. It's also a huge boost for efficiency. Instead of clicking through pages of articles, you get more relevant results right away, cutting down on search time. One thing to keep in mind, since this is AI powered, it may not always be perfect. There's a note to check for accuracy, but you'll always get a link to the official help article at the bottom of the response, which you can review. So overall, it's a much faster, smarter way to get help right inside the system. Now let's take a look at Copilot variance analysis. This tool is a game changer when it comes to the review process, which is often one of the biggest bottlenecks in finalizing and publishing financial reports. What it does is compare budgeted amounts versus actuals or current versus prior period actuals and instantly flags variances. So instead of hours spent generating reports, notifying budget owners, waiting for follow-ups, and figuring out next steps, Copilot gives you those insights immediately. What's great is that it's built for both finance and non-finance users. For business leaders and budget managers, it delivers intuitive and actionable insights so they don't have to dig through reports. It also helps detect variances early so teams can resolve issues before they grow. And for accountants, it improves accuracy and drives better outcomes by helping you spot and address unfavorable variances ahead of the close. Now, I've actually tested this in my demo environment, and what I really find great about this feature is that you can schedule notifications to be sent directly to your email. So you can select the frequency options like daily, weekly, or end of the month, and what it'll do is it'll give you the emails. Copilot will run every night and send you the notifications the next day if it's daily. If it's weekly, it'll send you the notification early in the morning, or if it's at the end of the month, it analyzes the full month and sends the results on the first day of the next month. So I have, like I said, I've personally set mine up in my demo environment, and I have mine set to daily. And every morning when I check my email, the first thing I see is a pop-up of the insights of my variance reports against my entities, against my departments, and it shows me any fluctuations against the budget that I have in my system. So you can review the variance quickly, contact your accountant if needed, and move forward with confidence in your decision making. And if you want more detail, you can always go into Copilot and ask it to describe the variance, view the full report, or run a prior period analysis all right in the system. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful features Sage Intacct is rolling out in this Copilot system, which is a close assistant. The Close Assistant gives you a centralized panel where you can monitor the status of key period and tasks across accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash management, and the general ledger. Instead of pinging colleagues or tracking down statuses manually, you get real-time insights into what's done, what's in progress, and what still needs your attention. What I love about this tool is how intuitive and action-oriented it is. If there's an open item, like an unposted journal entry or an incomplete bank reconciliation, Copilot shows an alert icon and provides a direct link to take you exactly where you need to go to resolve the issue. If a module is already closed, you'll see a green check mark so you know at a glance where things stand. For multi-entity organizations, it even breaks down which entities have closed their modules and which still need attention. So now I'm going to take you into my demo environment again. And here I'm going to show you the Copilot feature, how it looks So this is the help and support tab that you typically would go to search for help on this page or access your Sage University. Now, if you see here this little colorful icon, I have the search help where it's gonna open a chat box. It has some kind of average type questions, but you can type in this field and ask it anything, and it's gonna assist you in that help. Now, this other tab here is the actual Copilot that has the variance analysis and the close assistant. So if I click on show budget variance analysis year to date, the system now is processing what I asked it to do in the backend. And it's gonna help me create that assessment. And here I have my operating revenue and my fiscal year to date budget and the variances. I can tell it to describe the variance, run prior period, view the full financial report, and get more insights. This little toggle button here, the insight, it's just highlighting if you need to be aware of anything. So for example, if I click on the locations and view the insight, it's flagging this because I have actuals against these locations, but I don't have a budget. So the AI is detecting that this may be something alarming to me. And these type of insights are the ones that you're gonna get into your email if you have the email notifications on. And if I want to create a new chat, I can go there. If I want to run my close assistant, I can just ask it to run my close assistant. And that what it's doing is looking into all of the subledgers that I mentioned. It's going to ask me to which books I want to close. Now, this is a demo environment, so I've never closed it, as you can see. But if we click OK, it's just going to keep analyzing, and it's going to suggest what are the books that I could close, what are some items that I need to review and check for accuracy. So it's already flagged some items for me. So this is going to be incredibly helpful for you. So in short, Copilot Close Assistant helps you speed up the month-end process, reduce errors, and improve team collaboration. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is the Subledger Reconciliation Assistant. The reason why I can't show it, it's because it's still an early adopter, but we wanted to show it to you as a sneak peek because it's a great and powerful tool. So this one is one of the biggest challenges during close is reconciling subledgers like AP, AR, and inventory back to the general ledger. This process typically involves generating reports, tracking discrepancies manually, and resolving mismatches, all of which take valuable time. So with Copilot Subledger Reconciliation Assistant, it automates much of that work. It prepares reconciliation reports automatically, flags mismatches between subledgers and the GL, provides drill down insights to help identify and resolve issues. It offers guided recommendations on likely causes and resolution steps. And now what this means for your team is a faster month-end close, fewer manual errors, more time freed up for strategic analysis, and less time lost in spreadsheets.
So
Like I mentioned,
Fabiola,
uh-huh.
sorry, how
You're
is the
okay.
Copilot a separate charge and how do they get it?
Yes, so it is a separate charge. The features that are in early adopter, you can request them and there's no fee. There's only a limited amount of people that can have access to their early adopters features. So you can just play around with it. You'll basically be a test subject and report back to Intacct if there's anything like bugs and stuff like that that they'll need to double check. But the general Copilot feature for variance and close is available to the public. There is a cost to it. I'm unaware at this moment, but if you contact your client account manager or send us a support ticket, we can look into that data for you and reply back into the cost.
So, and who is the Copilot Insight available for? Is it only for admins or any business users, or do you know if it's also available for employee users?
That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure on employee users. Um, I want to say yes. I think it's one of those things that it depends on the permissions of your user. But we can totally check back on that. And if you submit a support ticket, I can reply to you back on that. I'm sorry. I do not know at this time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And just to close, this feature, like I mentioned, is in early adopter testing, and it's not yet available. And we're sharing this with you so you can see what's ahead, but the release timeline and final capabilities may still change as Sage continues to refine it. And now it's time for the next polling question.
So if you all would be so kind and answer this polling question, you got about another 25 seconds or so. Just to follow up on Fabiola's answer. So if you're interested in getting the Copilot and asking for pricing, please contact your client account manager and they will be able to help you out. And here we have the results of the polling question. Nice. I agree with the subledger reconciliation. We've had to help a lot of people with that. All right. The next feature is there's a kind of a major change with time and expense. A lot of you now have like a grant billing, and time and expense module is part of that. You may have noticed that after the last release, all of a sudden time is a separate menu option than from expense. It shows up as a separate module. So behind the scenes, it's still just one module. We still just subscribe to time and expense, but on the module menu choice, it's two different features. By any chance, can you show that, Fabiola, in Intact or not? And the reason I ask that is we have found that our user, the CPA user, the JMT user, will not show time as a separate module. It'll only show expense. But you see how Fabiola now shows time and expense as two separate options. So that's what that is. So it's split out from a Intact the AI perspective, I mean UI perspective, the user interface, but behind the scenes is still one module, but the configuration though is also split between the two modules. And so if you guys have any questions on that, please reach out to me via email or on this Q&A and I can give you more detail. Thank you.
Okay. And going back to the Copilot question, there is a module fee. I would still contact your client account manager because I do know that sometimes there's some discounts for nonprofits. So I don't want to go ahead and give a price and say something wrong. But there is access for business users and employee users if you want to give access. And there's a pricing regarding the employee users and business users. So if you're interested in this feature, you can contact, like I mentioned, your client account manager, and they can tell you all of the fees associated with it.
Okay. So next slide.
Okay. So now let's get into one of the newest updates in fixed assets management with Sage Intacct. These changes offer better control and visibility, especially for nonprofits managing fixed assets across multiple funds or locations. So first, you can now transfer assets between entities. And the transfer feature, if you already have fixed asset management, you might know that this was already in the release 1, but in the release 2, what they did was that they made it available for the main entity location dimension, which wasn't available. So now if you want to transfer between any locations, transfer like an equipment to another, something like that, Intacct will automatically create the appropriate journal entries, reducing manual effort and helping you maintain audit-ready records. You'll also notice a new transfer history tab on each asset record, and this gives you a full audit trail of any changes in ownership or location, making it easier to track asset stewardship across your organization. These features are designed to improve transparency, reduce manual corrections, and give you more flexibility in how you manage long-term assets. Now let me share my screen here. And I have in this tab an asset already. And I just wanted to show you that transfer feature. So the button is right here within your asset record. And what you'll do is you'll just click on it. It's going to take a couple seconds to load because I do have quite a few tabs open. Okay. So now what you'll do is that you'll have to select the transfer date. You can only select a transfer date from today's date forward, not any previous dates. And then what you'll do is you have all of your dimensions here at the bottom. Before you could switch any of your dimensions, but the main entity location dimensions, you couldn't transfer between them. So now if I click on another location and click the transfer button, the system is running that that I inputted on the back end, and it's creating that transfer for me. And I have it right here. And the transfer history, if I click on that hyperlink, it's gonna take me into that journal entry that it created for me on the depreciation schedules that I have and stuff. So you can just go ahead and review your journal entry. Let me open it up. And the cool thing about this transfer is that if you have any depreciation working on the back end for this, the system will keep doing those depreciation entries for you with this new location that you've determined. Okay, let's go back here. Now let's talk about the platform scalability. We have the new import service feature in Sage Intacct. This offers a much more intuitive and efficient way to manage your data imports. Instead of uploading a file and waiting around for an email with error messages, you now have access to a dedicated workspace where you can see issues directly on screen at the field level and fix them right there in context. It functions like a smart spreadsheet. You can import Excel files that include formulas, multiple tabs, and formatted numbers. The system highlights issues automatically, and you can use bulk tools like find and replace, search, and filter to clean things up quickly and accurately. So this new import experience is already available for core functions like general ledger, chart of accounts, statistical accounts, and fixed assets. And actually, if you were already using the new fixed asset management module, you may see that this screen is similar because it's the same import feature that they were using on the fixed asset management module. And now it's being rolled out pretty much everywhere else into the system. The goal here is to reduce the frustration, increase accuracy, and save time so your team can spend less time troubleshooting imports and more time analyzing what matters. And while we're talking about import improvements, it's also worth noting that you can now import credit card transactions directly into the bank reconciliation cash management area as well. So that's another small enhancement that adds a lot for efficiency.
So Fabiola, how do they turn this on? Or do they need to turn anything on?
That's a great question. To my understanding, you don't have to turn anything on. What you'll do is you'll go into your company import data screen like usual, and you'll see the new import service. If you have any issues seeing that, submit a ticket and we'll take a look into what's going on there.
Thank you. All right. Next, Scott, next slide.
Yes.
Enhanced lists. Now, for about a year now, we've been focusing on every release. We point out the enhanced lists. And what we're referring to is, Fabiola, would you be so kind and go to Intacct to either the bill screen, invoices screens, customers or vendors? I don't care which one. Yep. So there's Intacct says there's over 300 list screens where this is now available. Now they're looking at it from all of their modules, which we don't obviously have. But if you're on a list screen, do you see where it says at the top to the left of where all the buttons are, where it says turn on enhanced lists? That's what we're referring to. So before this release, it was still kind of in testing mode. Now it's actually part of the release. If you click on that, turn on list interface, you see how the screen changed? You see now a different view. And so you have the ability now. So for example, notice all the little search field contain the word contains. So you no longer have to use the little percent sign to find something that contains. There's no need to enter a wildcard symbol to find something that contains. It's all part of the search. The other thing you have the ability to do is you can move columns around and put them in different orders just by clicking on the title of the column and dragging and dropping it over. You can also, they're like perfect. And notice how when, thank you, Vanna, how when you hovered your mouse over the column header, there's a little cogwheel icon that shows up. If you click on that little cogwheel, whatever you call it, I still haven't figured out a way. You can freeze the column, you can sort it ascending and descending, you can do text wrap, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. The other thing I want to point out is right below the create button are the two little icons, the create button at the top right. There's a split view and a table view. The split view will allow you to see details about the record you have selected on the left-hand side. And so I really want you guys to become familiar with this view. Wow, that's taking a long time. And see how nice you, so we're in builds now, right? So you have the bill selected on the left and you see all the detail about the bill on the right, including the history tab, the transaction tab, things like that. The only thing, my personal gripe against it is if you need to search for a different bill, you have to go back to that table view. You have to click on the other little icon, the one that looks like an Excel spreadsheet. Yep. Then you search for it. But do you see where it also says send us feedback to the right of bills? So if you, as you're playing with these views, if you're like, oh, you know what, it would be really cool if they could do this, send them feedback and they will pay attention. And the more people send them that feedback, the better it is, the more they pay attention. So just a quick shout out to get familiar with the enhanced list views. There's a lot more screens available now, and that's the direction Intacct is headed. Thank you, Fabiola.
Yeah, and I wanted to reply to a question I saw in the poll about the Copilot search help on when will it be available or if it comes with the standard package. So search help will be rolled out in phases starting in February 2025. Initially, it will be available to a small subset of customers, allowing them to test scale accuracy and gather feedback. From there, they will expand that access. They have the goal in mind that it will be available to all Sage Intacct customers by the end of June 2025. So by the end of this month, it's expected that all users will have access to that search help button.
Yeah, and one other question that came in is, do Intacct clients need to opt out of these releases and go through an upgrade after hours? No. If you are an Intacct customer, Intacct will always update all of your databases. They do that on the weekend. Fabiola is going to show you where the release notes are, and if you'll also show them the release calendar. We don't have a choice. If you're on Intacct, you're going to be part of the release and they'll upgrade it to you. That's all part of the package. Thank you. Okay, and we're done with, yeah. Okay, email domain validation. Have you guys seen these messages that you need to validate your email by August 8th? And you're like, what is that all about? Well, let us show you in Intacct what you need to do. And you may or may not have to get your IT department involved. So in Intacct, if you go to the company module, assuming you have to be a business user to do this, and you have to be an admin. You have to have full admin rights to do it. So under the company module in the setup tab under configuration, click on the word company. If you click on the word company and then edit the screen and go to the security tab, that second tab over. And if you scroll down to email sender domain settings. There, click on add domain and put in your domain name. Like for example, ours is jmtconsulting.com, right? So it's whatever your domain name is, whatever comes after the @ symbol on your email address. And then you click on authenticate domain. And it'll go through this process, but there's some additional information that whoever handles your IT department will need to do. Yeah, go ahead and scroll down and go, what does it say? Validate
Activate
domain.
and
Yeah,
delete.
yeah. So if you go up to the help and support document, the help and support on the screen, and type in validate email, what was it? Validate email domain, I think. There's some additional instructions that you need to give to your IT personnel that handle your email domains, and they need to follow those instructions. I'm not a techie. I have no clue what this means, but Intacct has provided all the instructions for you. Okay? It's all built in, so please do that. And that will, because there's a lot of emailing going on from within Intacct and like approval notifications, etc. And we want to make sure that you do not have interrupted services. So you have about 2 months to get this done. Thank you.
And that takes us to the next polling question.
All right. Thank you all for your participation with these polling questions. Very helpful. Okay. You have just a few more seconds to answer. I think we only have 3 polling questions today, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So please answer if you want CPE credits. All right. We should be. Are we good? Nice. Nice, nice.
Everyone's excited about the new import
Yeah,
kit.
it is. It's really cool. Kind of like the new bank transactions import feature, which we didn't cover this time, but we did last time. All right. We
Going
have a
on
few more
to
minutes.
Yeah, going on to the next slide. This is what Dougie mentioned before. This is the 2025 release notes. They just released in the release notes, you can see highlights of videos. So you can get highlights if you can see here. Let me look at my little pointer pen. So if you can see, every note will have an actual short little video for you to see if you're interested in any of those areas. Now, where to find your release notes? Let me leave here. If you click on the little house box in your, I don't know what to call this, like the introduction page of Intacct, they always have here updates about the product. So you'll see here at the top of the screen, the latest release notes, and you'll have this hyperlink that will take you there. And then here in this left panel, you can search through all of the old release notes, but these new ones have the highlights. So if you search throughout here and find an interest in any of one of these areas, you can just click on it and take a look into those videos.
All right.
And any other questions?
You guys have asked a lot of good questions. Just a recap, Copilot, there is a charge. AP automation, there is a charge. In the new import feature, there is no charge. Okay. Any questions? Going once? Oh, there's a question. Okay, how do you tell what version you are? You're automatically on the latest version. So the question was, how do you tell what version you are? You're on the latest release. You're on release 2 of 2025. Everybody is as of 2.5 weeks ago. Okay. The next question is where was the enhanced view? So Fabiola, would you mind going back to Intacct again? To like the bills screen? We'll
Yep.
show you some of them. So accounts payable bills is one of them. Accounts payable vendors is another one. Wherever you see, do you see on like bills where it says turn on enhanced list next to the ad screen? That's the new view. So it's an accounts payable vendors, accounts payable bills. In accounts receivable, it's definitely invoices and funders, which are the customers. In general ledger, it's under invoices. So if you go, sorry, journal invoices. Sorry, journal entries. Pick like the general journal, view transactions. You see the list view, it's any journal type. I just picked on GJ's because that's the one most frequently used. It's also under general ledger accounts.
Okay.
Okay. And so just look through. It's fun, all the dimensions. I mean, I've barely scratched the surface of seeing where it is. Currently, it's almost easier to see what it's not on. Well, task, it's not on tasks. Projects, it's not on project billing. That's where it is. Um, on if you need additional help with email authentication, please log a ticket with our support team, which is support@jmtconsulting.com. There's a lot of detail there, and our support team will be happy to help you out. So, and again, that support email is support@jmtconsulting.com. And the new, so the other question is, how do we get to the new upload feature? You go to company and then the setup tab and then the import data,
Oh yeah. I was
right?
signaling. Yes.
And then
And
the
then in
new
the import
import
data,
and
you'll
new
see it
imp.
here at the top.
Yep.
And I saw another question.
Uh,
Where do you send feedback on the enhanced list?
right.
Once you turn it on, you have the send us feedback right next to the button.
Okay.
Any other
And
questions?
if you are interested, speaking of new import features, if you're interested in the new bank importing transactions feature, that is also free, but there's a little more configuration involved. I mean, it's still pretty straightforward. Just again, contact support@jmtconsulting.com and we will be happy to help you out. So one last question on enhanced list views. The question is, does an enhanced view affect my views? Yeah, it does. Good question. And so, for example, if you have a custom view already set up, that custom view doesn't translate to the enhanced list view. You'll have to create it again.
I have one here in my bills. So I have this custom view for
Mhm.
bills for showing just 1099 data. So if I turn on the enhanced list, it just takes me to a generic view.
Okay. So you have to create it again, but it's a lot easier to create the view. All you have to do is go to manage views and create a new one. And it's pretty straightforward. And if you need help with that, again, contact us at support@jmtconsulting.com. Great questions, you all. Thank you so much for your active participation, and I hope you find that this was helpful. And with that, we will wish you a good day, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.